Good evening, Brian. It's Wednesday. Real quick, I just wanted to comment a little bit on some of the things in your last video. First off, that big water thing in between the mainland and the little barrier islands is called the Sound. That's what that's called. So yes, we did see the sunset on the Sound. Our house that we were staying in was actually on the Sound side of the island. So from our back porch, we were basically over the Sound, which you'll see in a minute. And then it was a short walk across the street to the entrance to the beach. So yes, you can see sunrise on the beach because it's facing east, and sunset on the Sound because it's facing west. So I just wanted to mention that and clear that up. Yes, that's how it worked out. I had just a couple more clips from the beach trip that I took last week that I wanted to show you, so that's what the video is going to be full of, Brian. Here's the first one. Brian, we're at the beach. It's awesome. So as I was saying earlier, our house was right there on the Sound, and you can see this view of the Sound right in this clip. This is taken from our porch, right out the back of the living room in the cabin. As you can see, we are literally right on the Sound. The back of the house is over the water of the Sound. We could not be closer to the Sound without being floating. And this pier and the little area at the end of it is where we actually took the footage of the rocket launch, where we watched the rocket launch from. So we were out in the middle of the Sound, so that was a really nice way to see it. This is just a video I took showing how nice the waves were and how beautiful the weather was. One of the first days we were on the beach. You mentioned not being able to get a good sunset video, Brian. We actually took this time lapse right on the edge of the deck one of the first nights we were there. This was the sunset over the Sound and the mainland, so I just wanted to include that real quick. This clip and the next few are taken at the Jockey's Ridge State Park. Jockey's Ridge is one of the tallest, if not the tallest, sand dunes on the East Coast or in America or the world. I can't remember the specifics, but it's a very tall sand dune. As you can see, the park is actually flooded a little bit because of the recent Hurricane Matthew, but instead of detracting from our experience there, I think this actually made it better. Seeing all of the water and all of the natural way that the dunes were and everything was really nice. One of my favorite things about the Outer Banks was how natural and less developed things were compared to places like Myrtle Beach or more touristy, more developed beach locations. This was just a lot more natural and there was a lot more nature and wildlife there, which is one of my favorite things. You can see here, this is the natural marshland at the Body Island Lighthouse Park. It's just gorgeous. We're out on this pier over the marsh, and it's just beautiful and untouched or less touched, and it was just a really pleasant experience. I took this video driving back when we were coming home from the trip just because the clouds and how big and open and flat everything were just really struck me as being remarkable and very emblematic of what the Outer Banks are like. One of the coolest parts about how undeveloped everything was all of the wildlife, like this little tadpole you can see here in this picture. I was very distracted by a lot of the animals and wildlife we saw, so much more than I'm used to seeing at the beach. You can barely make it out, but there was this really interesting flock of birds that were flying all in a line. I just thought it was neat. My favorite wildlife from the beach trip, though, was all of the crabs, as you saw him dart around there. This beach was full of little crabs all over the place, so many more than I'd ever seen before, and they were very active. They'd come out of their little hole, throwing away sand that they had used to dig out in the middle of their hole, and it was just really neat to watch them. So I kind of fell in love with them and got fascinated and took a lot of pictures and videos of them, as you can see in these videos. Some of them were much larger, like this one is probably about the size of a GameCube controller. And then there were also lots of little small ones like this guy, who were also super adorable and cute. So I guess that leaves me with one question, Brian. Hey, Brian, do you like barbs?